for anything sex
Watch
positive.
them commercials. I am such a
As an advocate for anything sex positive, I always say you should discuss that in the beginning, but at the same time, it's up to you to educate yourself, because once you educate
yourself, you don't need to be out there. You need to be at them meetings and shit that we have where everybody else in that motherfucker in the same situation. That's where you need to be at. It's categories to life. I'm trying to say.
With your kind.
Yes, categories out here.
And as a sex positive person, and somebody who's an advocate for all sexual activities, I can't say that. What I will say honestly is there's a lot of misconceptions about that. I work in the medical field, and this is the one time I'm gonna put that out there. I work in the medical field, and because I work in the medical field and I've encountered this, and I've encountered patients with this, and I've encountered a lot of things, what I have learned is you really have to educate yourself. And I think that's something that we do as a community a disservice to ourselves. We don't educate ourselves enough to know, because a lot of this stuff you're running around with and you don't know that you actually have it. First off, in the state of Alabama,
well, they saying they want to know how long you wait to tell someone
they know
that you have
it.
So the person knows.
She know, he know, they know.
What I'm saying is, first off, in the state of Alabama, it's not a required test. So let me put that out there from a medical perspective. Ooh. A lot of people, when they go and they get their annual and they get all that other stuff like that, when they actually do their testing, you have to specifically request this test. So a lot of people don't know that they're even carrying the disease, because the disease does not have an incubation period like everything else. It doesn't pop up like everything else. And so because of that, you can lay dormant for a number of years without any kind of activity and not know that you're a carrier. So that's first and foremost. Now, once you know, it is on you to have that discussion. It is on you to have that discussion. You have to understand
early than a motherfucker.
And it should be early. And
before you kiss a motherfucker, you need to let them know.
Hold on, no, because it's talking about HSV too. So this is where the misconception comes in, because you're talking about. This is where the misconception comes in, because you're talking about HSV2. HSV2 is genital. HSV1 is oral. So there are two types. And in addition to that,
I just said before you kiss somebody,
right?
Because
kissing,
I know that ain't gonna give you the shit, but just anything sexual. If we talking about fucking, I need to know.
But this is what I'm saying. So the question was very specific to HSV2. What I'm saying is there are multiple types of herpes. That's what it is.
Right.
And in addition to that, not only there are multiple types of herpes, if you had chickenpox, you technically have the virus that is herpes, and a lot of people don't know that. So my whole purpose in this conversation right now, and I'll back out of this because this is I'm a very strong sex positive advocate when it comes for things, especially of this nature, because I feel like we as a community don't have this conversation enough. What I will say is, when you go and we press these tests, you have to understand that not only are there one type, but there are two types, and there's the virus that lives within you. You should have this conversation.
You said if you had chickenpox, then you had
chickenpox and shingles. Both are a derivative of herpes.
So you're saying
really
that
it's the same virus.
The same way that if you had chickenpox, you could end up getting shingles.
Yes.
If you had chickenpox, you could end up just having herpes one day.
It lives with. It depends on the type, because it's the same virus. It lives within your body.
So which one can you? If you've had chickenpox before,
you can be exposed to HSV1, but you can also be exposed to HSV2. Because if you have a lesion, so if you have a cut,
not exposed. I mean, like how you get shingles.
You literally have the virus of herpes. Herpes zoster.
Calm down, brother.
It's called.
So
with herpes zoster, it does derivative in two parts. HSV1 is more conducive of the shingles and the chickenpox virus. HSV2 is the genital version of that, which is what you are referring to. But at each time, that you still have the ability to catch it. So if you have a cut, like if you're giving oral sex and you have an oral cut in your mouth and you have HSV1, you can expose somebody to HSV1 and you can get oral herpes. that's HSV1. It is still considered an STD. If you have a vaginal or a penile cut, or adhesion or anything,
how you
still get
exchange it normally. I'm just trying to figure out if I learned something new. From what I understand, if you have had chickenpox in the past, you could just
the virus
shingles.
is dormant. Virus is dormant. Yes.
You could you don't have to nobody gives you shit.
No,
you just
the
have
virus
shingles
is dormant within your body.
Yeah.
So the same exact thing with herpes. You could just have herpes one day.
Yes.
That motherfucker jump out on your ass.
From contracting it from somebody. Not through any type of transmission.
Jump out.
You just one day you wake up. And now you got herpes today.
You open that motherfucker up, it's right there.
I want to clarify though. That's a HSV1.
Mouth herpes.
That's the one.
HSV2 is genital herpes, and that can be exposed from even
somebody
a person.
Had mouth herpes had to give you their herpes,
not
and it could turn into one of the two.
A person can actually have HSV2 and not have any signs, symptoms, or any issues, and not know that they're a carrier. And because they can be born with that, as well as it can be laid. Yes, it lays dormant. It's a dormant disease.
I think I retract my statement. I'm with you. After you introduce me, tell me you got this shit, goddamn.
You have to be proactive.
I need to know right now, goddamn. I need to know right now.
You have to be proactive because honestly, the same excuse me, the same sexual activity that you engage in, you have still ways to engage in that with somebody who is HSV2 positive. You just have to make certain adaptations.
But even if you never had chickenpox, you can still get herpes, though, right?
Yes. Because it's both
absolutely
oral as well as
That's
genital.
fucked up, man.
This motherfucker right here.
I was in the clear for a second.
Don't be thinking you out here, goddamn. Freaking
Kato on out there, bitch. I ain't never had a chickenpox. I thought I was clean for a second. I thought I was.
Here's the thing about it. It's a dormant disease.
Yeah, stay away from
that's what people don't understand. It's a dormant disease. It's not part of your usual STD testing. It's not part of any annual exams. It is something that you literally have to request. So a lot of our people are out there and they have that because they don't know, or they've been in situations that presented them with this. And it's unfortunate because they're stuck with something that they can't control. And it's a big part of our population. And the downside is people look at it so negatively that they don't educate themselves as to what they can do and what they can't do with somebody who has HSV. And that's how I have to stand on that. From the medical perspective, that's where I got to
She broke that shit down, man.
Right.
We don't got no sound effect.
Good to know.
I don't know what I can and can't.
Kato always says, which I always tell him to stop fucking saying.
But hey, if this ain't a motherfucking prime example,
there you go.
I don't know what the fuck he is. No, you were finna tell him anyway.
You learn something new every episode.
I
Every
encourage
episode.